Hello, YouTube viewer. This is Mike Daly again with the Cut the Crap channel. Today's message is why God does not care about your bills. And to start off, I would like to quote my favorite comedian, Lewis Black, who when he was giving a commencement, I can't remember which college it was, but one thing he said that really stood out to me was, no amount of money is worth a job that grinds the life out of you. And I can promise you this, that if there is a supreme being, he doesn't give a damn about your cash flow. And I guess the point he was making was, that not to put your focus so much on trying to make a certain amount of money, or like achieve a certain level of lifestyle, but rather that your focus should just really be on following your passions, doing what you want to do. And I think this is something, this general principle is, I think, can definitely be found in the Bible. But I mean, you would just replace, following your passions, doing what you want to do with, serving or seeking the kingdom of God. So, I want to start off with some scripture. If we look at Luke chapter 12, verse 13, the parable of the rich fool. Well, I'm not going to read this whole thing. But basically the story is, okay, that a man is having a dispute with his brother about their inheritance and wants Jesus to kind of settle it, and Jesus is like, nah, I ain't doing that. That ain't my job, And so then Jesus says, watch out, because money can really mess you up. And then he talks about a man or a farmer who has an extremely abundant harvest, and he's like, well, and so basically that he's now rich, and it's like, well, what am I going to do? Well, I don't even have enough room to hold this harvest. So, well, I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones to store all my surplus grain, and then I can just take it easy and be merry. And then Jesus says, well, you're a fool, because now it turns out, your life is now demanded of you. And then Jesus goes on, and I think this is one of the definitely one of the most interesting, and probably for one of Jesus' commands that at least I would say in the West, very few of us really seriously follow. And this one I will read. And Jesus said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the wild flowers grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. but seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Now, I think this is one of these passages that I think most of us really don't grasp the full meaning of, and to bring. I mean, now most of us don't really worry about what we're going to eat so much, or what we're going to like. Most of us in the West, those basic needs are met. So maybe to bring it home a bit more, you could say, well, don't worry about how you're going to pay your rent. Don't worry about how you're going to support your kids or how you're going to pay to send them to college. Don't worry about how you're going to save for retirement. Don't worry about how you're going to pay all your bills. Just seek my kingdom. And when you look at it that way, I mean, this almost sounds kind of crazy because, now I have heard of people. I can't think of anyone that I've met, but I've heard other kind of secondhand accounts of people that just live on faith to such a degree that they'll might hear the Lord to say, okay, I want you to go over here, and maybe they hardly have any money, and they get in their car and they go. And they get there and they're out of gas, and then just someone happens to give them just enough money they need for gas, and they just kind of live that way somehow on faith. And most of us, I guess, would look at a person like that and maybe say, oh, well, you're really not being responsible, if you're living like that. You need to get a job, and, so that you can make sure you can support yourself, especially if you've got a family and kids and stuff. And, but according to this, that person is living the right way and the rest of us aren't. Now, I'm not going to be just so extreme to say, oh, that, we just shouldn't work. We just should completely just believe God to miraculously give us the money we need or something. I think, there's other parts like in Proverbs, where, working is commended, but, and Paul also talks about, I don't have the exact passage in front of me, but, when there's one passage where that's sometimes been applied wrongly by certain Republican politicians, where Paul says, if a man doesn't work, he shall not eat. And what that is referring to was one specific instance in one of the churches, where they were living in community, so within the community, they were basically supporting each other, so nobody really had any, dire needs. But some of them were not really pulling their weight, I guess. Maybe just expecting that, that Jesus was going to return at any moment. So, well, why do we need to, work or bother if he's coming back? And they were just basically, just being idle and, not really being productive or useful in any way. And it's interesting that Paul's admonition to them when he says, okay, well, now they should work with their hands. But he doesn't say, oh, so that you're able to, support yourself and aren't mooching off the off the church. He doesn't say that. But he does say so that you'll have something to give to somebody who has needs. So it's just real interesting. So that, I mean, I know I'm definitely not there as far as, I guess, living the way, having this kind of radical trust in the Lord that this passage is talking about. But I think one thing that I guess most of us, or a lot of us, how we could maybe apply this to our lives is I think a lot of people, especially, once you're married and have kids, like you have in your mind, okay, there's a certain level of income that you just got to have. And basically, so, and you might not come out and say it, but it's like, well, whatever, whatever we got to do to get this, to get this level. I mean, I'm not talking about, breaking laws or anything, but just, I'm just talking about like what we make our priorities. This basically, okay, well, whatever we got to do to get this level of income, so, we can have, this kind of lifestyle, we can, and we'll, justify it, say, oh, so we can live like in a nice area, so, like our kids can go to a good school and, whatever. But I think a lot of it, I think for a lot of us, it's, we're just, our priorities are off, and maybe we could consider, that, like, okay, well, if we weren't spending so much effort to get this certain level of income, what could we do, for God's kingdom instead? What gifts has He given us, that we're not using because we're just putting so much into our work to make sure, that we have this level of income. And so I think, maybe being willing to, to live at a, lower, economic, threshold that might not like be as comfortable, but I mean, but just, trust God that it'll, work out. And, I think if more of us, and I just think it's a shame that, we, like in the middle, I guess, if in Christendom, so many people can kind of get into the middle class, but they just kind of lose the whole kind of radical aspect of Christianity, or like what it means for really following Jesus radically. And like really, I mean, we might say we follow Him, but okay, well, if He asked you to, okay, well, I want you to, like, sell your house and your things, and like go do this, or go do this instead, or maybe, I don't know, go live in the inner city and reach out to the people there. Is like, no, not doing that, Lord. That's a bridge too far. So, I think we just need to be willing to, take our hands off of our stuff and let that not be, such a priority, and be willing more to, trust the Lord with what we need than to try to always be getting it for ourselves, with the arm of the flesh. So anyway, thank you for listening. I do appreciate your comments. Please subscribe to my channel, and also remember to click the bell so that you'll be informed of when I release new videos.